And joining us now is Michigan Democratic Senator Gary Peters. Senator, thank you very much for joining us. Let's just lift off right there from what Leanne was talking about. It seems like there are some areas of disagreement in terms of the financial scope of this package. Getting it down to a $2 trillion package instead of a $3 trillion package, would that be acceptable?
Well, I think bottom line is that we know we're going to have to find some sort of compromise. But I think what's most frustrating about all of this is that we have many folks in the Republican Senate caucus that basically believe that there shouldn't be any additional resources at all to help American families and small businesses and our schools to be able to reopen in a safe way. So when you have a large percentage of the caucus that wants to be at zero and really don't recognize the magnitude of the problem that we're faced, and the fact that we have economists across the board saying we need to have continued support of this economy as the economy starts to slip. If it starts digging a hole, it's a whole lot more difficult to get it out, and it's going to be more expensive. So it is important to do the right thing for American families and businesses and recognize that. But there are a lot of folks in the Republican caucus that don't do that. That's why we have, as I mentioned, 20 folks that aren't there. Mitch McConnell's not even in the room. We have President Trump basically playing golf. They don't see the challenge to American families, and as a result of that, I don't think you're seeing good faith bargaining on their part, because we simply have different views of the challenges that we're facing in the economy and American families are facing right now.
If there is a bill, when do you expect to be back on Capitol Hill voting for it?
Well, we're ready to come back. We'll be back as soon as possible. We need to have an agreement on some top line numbers. There's a lot of work to do in terms of a number of issues, where that money goes, what is the process that'll be distributed. There are a number of other issues. One I'm working on related to the Postal Service and a slowdown of service that's having a major impact for Americans and people all across Michigan. There are a number of issues that need to be addressed. We need to do it quickly. We cannot delay. We've already delayed so long. The House bill has been out for over 2.5 months. Mitch McConnell didn't even bring it forward. We're at a crisis situation for families that are now losing the additional compensation for unemployment. That's hurting families in Michigan who are making difficult decisions about keeping food on the table, a roof over their head. We've got foreclosures. We've got evictions that are coming forward. I don't think the Republicans understand the magnitude of this crisis and how it's impacting people's lives. It is unacceptable to be delaying. We need to move. We need to have action, and we need to do it quickly. And I'm ready to do it. My Democratic colleagues are ready to do it. Let's hope the Republicans get on board.
Senator, do you have a red line for what you won't vote for? I mean, is there a certain threshold in terms of funding, I don't know, for states, funding for schools, funding for the unemployment insurance, or is there a funding for the Postal Service that must be in this bill for you to say yes to it?
I don't think it's productive to talk about red lines right now. I think it's what is productive is saying let's approach this with good faith, understand that American people need help and businesses need help and our education institutions need help. Let's get in, roll up our sleeves, make the decision, understanding there's going to be give and take. You heard Leader Schumer say we're ready to have that give and take discussion, but let's have a good faith discussion and understand that this aid is absolutely essential for folks all across our country. Let's approach it with that type of effort.
Well, let's talk about the Postal Service really quickly. If there's no money for the Postal Service, are you going to say yes to a bill? And number two, you've already said you're worried about the Postal Service being politicized by the Postmaster General. We've got a big election coming up. 80 million people are expected to send their votes by mail.
Absolutely. But what we're seeing right now impacts folks today, even before the election, with actions taken by the new Trump appointee as our Postmaster General. A number of processes are going into place. It coincides with what I'm hearing from people all across Michigan, that mail is being delayed. They're not getting it the way they should. These are folks who count on the mail to deliver prescription medicines to them that they have to take. These are folks who count on Social Security checks and payroll checks and want to be able to get bills so they can pay them so they don't have late fees. Business mail needs to move forward, and we're seeing the slowdown. I'm hearing from constituents. I'm hearing from folks in post offices, our letter carriers, our postal workers. They're saying they've never seen seen a situation where the management allows mail to just pile up and not be moved out. We expect a reliable mail service. People really count on getting those pieces of mail to carry out their daily activities, and we expect that from the Postal Service through all conditions. They're always making sure that mail gets delivered in a timely fashion. So we have to address it now, but as you mentioned, as we look to vote by mail, where you're going to have a huge surge of mail coming in through the Postal Service, voters expect to make sure those ballots not only get to them in a timely fashion, but certainly get back to the election clerks so that they know that their voice is heard and their vote matters.
We've been waiting for a piece of first-class mail for 10 days now in this household, still not here. Senator Gary Peters, Senator, thank you very much for joining us today.